Close your eyes for a moment. Not to force a picture, not to repeat a method, not to make anything happen. Just close them and breathe slowly, like you have nowhere else to be and all the time in the world. Feel the weight of your body where you are sitting. Feel the quiet rhythm of your breath moving in and out without your effort. You are not making your lungs work. You are not commanding your heart to beat. The deepest and most important parts of your life are happening right now without strain, without panic, without your control. They have been happening every day, every night, every second of your life. Now open your eyes and think about this. If the force that keeps you alive works through ease, if the intelligence inside you can grow cells, move blood, heal cuts, and keep you breathing without anxious help, then why do you believe your desires need fear, pressure, and struggle before they can appear? Why do you think the same power that handles the endless complexity of life needs your worry to bring you love, money, peace, health, or change? Stay with me because this matters. Maybe everything you were taught about effort, pushing, and grinding for what you want has been backwards from the start. Maybe the thing you call trying is the very thing slowing everything down. And if that is true, then this single shift can change more than years of strain ever could. Most people think manifestation is about force. They think if they do not push, chase, repeat, and overwork every thought, then nothing will move. They treat desire like a locked door that only opens after enough struggle. They act as if life is watching them, scoring them, waiting to see whether they tried hard enough to deserve the reward. So they tighten up. They visualize with pressure. They affirm with hidden fear. They practice gratitude like they are taking an exam. Deep down, they are not resting in trust. They are performing belief and hoping performance will bring results. Then they wonder why it feels so heavy. Why does it feel like swimming against the current? Why does the thing they want seem close, then far again, like a horizon that keeps stepping back? Here is why. Anxiety is not neutral. It is an assumption. When you chase with urgency, your state quietly says one thing: it is not here yet. That message sits underneath every desperate method, every worried check, every inner argument. It says the desire is still missing, still delayed, still outside you, still something you must earn or wrestle into form. And consciousness responds not to the words you perform, but to the state you occupy. It mirrors the deeper belief. So when the inner message is not yet, life keeps echoing not yet. More waiting, more almost, more signs that never settle into arrival. Don't miss this. The struggle is not proving your seriousness. It is repeating the absence. So what is the answer? Not laziness, not apathy, not sitting around empty and hoping the world reads your mind. The answer is something quieter and stronger than force. Relaxation. But not the kind that comes from giving up. Not numbness, not carelessness. I mean the calm of a person who knows. There is a very different energy in someone who truly knows something is done. Think of a woman in the early stage of pregnancy. Maybe nothing obvious can be seen yet. The world may not notice a single change, but she does not spend all night wondering whether a child is really forming if she knows it is so. She does not dig for proof every hour. She lives with a private certainty that does not need applause. The lack of visible evidence does not shake her because the reality is already accepted within. That is the state we are talking about. not trying to believe hard enough, not acting spiritual enough, not forcing yourself into emotion, just a plain, grounded, almost simple certainty. It is done. Not one day, not hopefully, not on the way in some distant future. Done now, first inside. And from that accepted inner fact, the outer world begins to move. The world teaches you to distrust ease. It tells you that anything valuable must be hard, that struggle proves worth, that if something comes gently, there must be a trick hidden in it. So when you hear relax and let go, something inside resists. It says if I stop pushing, everything will collapse. But look deeper. That voice is really saying, I trust my fear more than I trust life. That belief is stronger than most people realize. It says worry is useful. It says pressure creates safety. It says control is the only thing standing between you and chaos. It even says your anxious effort has more power than the creative force of consciousness. Think about that. It places your tension above the law itself, and that is the hidden trap. The idea that struggle is necessary becomes the very pattern that keeps the struggle alive. If you believe getting what you want must be difficult, then your state keeps creating a world where things arrive through difficulty. Not because reality is naturally cruel, but because reality keeps matching your most stable inner story. If your deep assumption is resistance, you meet resistance. If your deep assumption is delay, you meet delay. If your deep assumption is that every desire must be paid for with emotional exhaustion, then life starts looking exactly like that belief. But when you relax into the feeling that the wish is already fulfilled, something begins to change at every level. Your inner talk changes first. Many people walk around with a private crisis happening all day long. What if it fails? What if I am doing it wrong? What if I am too late? What if I don't deserve it? What if I missed my chance? That loop runs like background noise under everything. But when you truly accept that it is done, the loop starts losing its fuel. You do not have to beat the doubt into silence. The doubt weakens because its foundation is gone. It needs the idea of absence to survive. Remove absence, and the fear begins to starve. In its place comes a stillness that is not empty. It is full, full of settled knowing, full of quiet certainty, full of the feeling of already. Then the body starts to follow. Anxiety always leaves fingerprints in the body: tight chest, short breath, hard jaw, restless eyes, shoulders carrying a future that has not even happened yet. A person living in lack often looks like someone bracing for impact, but a person resting in the fulfilled state feels different in the body. The breath deepens on its own. The face softens. The shoulders fall back into peace. The whole body stops preparing for loss. And people notice it, even if they do not understand why. There is a kind of quiet magnetism in someone who is no longer begging life for proof. Not pride, not coldness, not pretending to be above pain. Just a grounded peace that says, I know what I know. From there, the outer world begins to shift. And yes, this is the part many people call miraculous, though it is simply law doing what law does. The chain of events starts forming. A person appears at the right time. A message comes from a direction you did not expect. An idea arrives while you are at rest, not while you are panicking. A stuck condition loosens without dramatic force. Something opens because you finally stopped pushing against it. Listen carefully. The change does not always start with fireworks. Sometimes it starts with a small movement that seems ordinary. A conversation, a delay that turns into a blessing, a sudden nudge to go somewhere, call someone, say one sentence. But the pattern becomes clear later. The path was forming while you were learning to rest. That is why forcing is so tiring. It tries to replace a much deeper intelligence already at work beneath the surface. Now let's answer the question many people ask right here. Does this mean you do nothing? Of course not. You still live. You still choose. You still move through your day. But the source of action changes. There is action born from panic and there is action born from assumption. Action from panic feels sharp, rushed, and heavy. It comes from the need to fix, save, secure, and force. It drains you. Even when it works, it often creates results that need more struggle to hold together because they were built from strain in the first place. But action flowing from inner acceptance feels different. It feels natural, clean, timely, almost obvious, like a flower opening because it is time to bloom, not because it is working overtime to become a flower. When you are living in the feeling that the wish is fulfilled, you still act, but your action is no longer trying to manufacture the outcome. It is expressing the outcome. You may feel led to make a call, write a message, leave a place, begin a plan, or take one simple step. But it does not feel like survival. It feels like alignment. It feels like movement from the inside out. And the results often seem larger than the effort involved. That is because the action is not carrying the whole load. The state is carrying it. This is huge, so stay with me. People often worship effort because effort is visible. But assumption is the deeper engine. Assumption shapes the direction. Assumption organizes the path. Assumption turns ordinary moments into bridges. Once the inner state changes, action stops being a desperate attempt to force life and becomes a natural extension of what you have already accepted as true. Think about a farmer placing seeds into the soil. He does not bury them in the morning and dig them up each evening to see whether they moved. He does not stand over the field in fear, demanding visible proof before nature has had time to do its work. He plants, he tends, and he trusts. Why? Because he understands law. He knows that once the seed is placed into good ground, growth is not a performance, it is a process. Your assumption is the seed. Consciousness is the soil. The law is the unseen power growing what you have accepted. Your job is not to force the growth. Your job is not to check the ground every 5 minutes. Your job is not to stab the soil with doubt and then ask why nothing rises. Your job is to plant with real acceptance and then remain steady. Water the seed with quiet faith. Warm it with the kind of awareness that does not need proof every hour. This is where many people fail, not because they chose the wrong desire, but because they keep interrupting the process. They plant, then panic, accept, then question, settle, then inspect. And every time they return to fear, they shake the soil again. But when the assumption becomes deep and calm, when the inner acceptance reaches the level of fact, the harvest begins moving toward form. Not because you performed perfectly, not because you won a prize for spiritual effort, not because you suffered enough, because planting is followed by growth. That is how law works. This may sound too simple for a mind trained to worship complexity, but simple does not mean weak. Simple often means true. Still, there will be moments that seem to fight everything I am saying. You will settle into peace, and then a situation may appear that looks completely opposite to your desire. The message may not come. The money may not appear that day. The body may still show old signs. The relationship may still look unchanged. In that moment, an old voice wakes up fast. It says, "See, it is not working. You were foolish. You relaxed too soon. Go back to fear, because at least fear feels active." This is the test. Not a test sent to punish you, but the natural moment where old patterns ask to be chosen again. And here you have a choice. You can react to appearances and let the outer scene tell you what is true. Or you can remember that what you see may be old movement from an old state, old data, old echo, a fading result from a former assumption. You can look at it without drama and say, "This does not decide my inner position anymore. I see it, but I do not bow to it." Then return, gently, not with strain, not with force. Just return to the fulfilled state, the way you would bring your focus back after drifting, calmly, quietly, again and again if needed. Every time you do this, something strong begins forming inside you. You prove to yourself that your inner knowing matters more than the noise of the moment. That repetition deepens the state. It becomes less like a practice and more like a home. And when that happens, outer contradictions begin losing their power to shake you. Not because you become numb, but because you have stopped treating every passing scene like final truth. That is real strength, quiet, steady, unmoved at the core. There is an old idea of holy rest, and this is the closest word for the state we are describing. Not rest as laziness, but rest after inner completion. The kind of stillness that comes when creation is finished within. It is the peace that follows acceptance. The work is done, not because the whole outer picture has arrived yet, but because the deeper work has already happened in consciousness. The end has been accepted, the seed has been planted, the identity has shifted, then comes rest. This is the invitation. To stop checking, stop chasing, stop treating your desire like an unpaid bill hanging over your head. To say inwardly, "It is done," and let that be enough for now. This is not the rest of someone who quit. It is the rest of someone who completed the only essential move. They accepted the reality inside before the world could mirror it outside. From here, everything else is catching up. So take this with you in a very practical way. Ask yourself one question and sit with it until you can feel it. How would I feel right now if I knew beyond doubt that what I want is already done? Not if I had proof, not if everyone agreed, not when it arrives later, right now. If I simply knew, if it felt as settled as my own name, as natural as the place I live, as obvious as something already decided, then what would change in my body, my breath, my pace, my private thoughts? Find that feeling. Do not decorate it. Do not perform it. Just find it. Then live from there as often as you can. Let that feeling begin changing the little things. Let it slow the rush in your voice. Let it soften the hard look in your eyes. Let it take pressure out of your breathing. Let it stop the habit of checking for signs every hour. Let it shape your posture, your timing, your reactions, your inner tone. This is not a trick you add on top of your old identity. It is a new way of being. The person who knows it is done moves very differently from the person who is hoping it might be done. Same body, same city, same job maybe, same visible life from the outside. But inside they live in different worlds, because they are standing in different assumptions. And the world keeps giving form to the assumption most deeply lived. That is why it is not enough to repeat pretty words while staying inwardly panicked. It is not enough to act calm for 10 minutes and then spend the next 10 hours returning to fear. The shift must become more natural, more honest, more lived. And this takes gentleness, not violence. If you drift, return. If you worry, notice it and return. If a bad day shows up, do not make it a final judgment. Return. Keep coming back to the version of you who knows the end is already established. A few times today, pause and ask, if it were done, how would I sit right now? How would I walk into this room? How would I answer this message? How would I face this delay? Then do that. Not dramatically, quietly, naturally. These small moments matter more than people think. They are how state becomes habit, and habit becomes reality in motion. And yes, this can change everything faster than endless emotional effort ever did. You are not here to earn your good. Read that again inside yourself. You are not here to beg for what belongs to your deeper nature. Desire is not a reward handed out only after enough suffering. It is not a trophy for the most exhausted person in the room. It is not being withheld by some distant force, waiting for you to become worthy. Desire often arrives as a signal, a private sign, a hint of what is already possible for you in consciousness. The moment a true desire rises in you, something in you is already aware of that reality, maybe faintly, maybe imperfectly, but the awareness is there. Your task is not to invent the good from nothing. Your task is to accept it, to claim it inwardly, to stop standing outside your own inheritance asking for permission. And claiming does not look like strain. It looks like quiet acceptance. This is mine. I receive it. It is done within, and because it is done within, it must one day take shape without. That inner acceptance, returned to faithfully whenever you drift, is the real work. The methods, the words, the rituals, the practices, all of them only matter if they help bring you to this settled place, this stillness, this calm, this inward yes. If they leave you more anxious, more tight, more obsessed, then they are not leading you home. Home is the state where you stop arguing with the fulfilled end. Home is the state where you no longer need to force life to listen, because life is already reflecting the note you are holding inside. So breathe now. Let your shoulders drop. Let the jaw loosen. Let your nervous system hear the message your words have been missing. You do not have to make the sun rise. You do not have to shout at the seed to convince it to grow. You do not have to hold the whole universe together with tension. The need to control every step is not strength. It is fear wearing the costume of responsibility. And fear is a terrible architect. It builds prisons and calls them plans. But peace sees farther. Peace hears subtler guidance. Peace allows what is already forming to reach you without being blocked by constant resistance. This is the shift. Stop trying to qualify for what your heart already recognized. Stop treating your desire like a fantasy that must prove itself before you can relax. Reverse it. Relax first. Accept first, rest first, then let the world move. There is power in that kind of softness, real power, not weak softness, not passive softness, powerful softness, the kind that no longer argues with the law. If you can feel that, even a little, hold it. Carry it into your next hour, carry it into your next conversation, carry it into the moment when doubt comes back with its old script. And when that moment comes, remember this line because it may save you. What I see right now is not the final word. My state is the final word. Hold that gently. Stay there. Let life rearrange around it. This is where things begin to open. This is where timing changes. This is where the path clears. And yes, this is where the feeling of impossible begins turning into the feeling of inevitable. At the end of the day, the invitation is simple, even if living it takes courage. Stop fighting your way toward what you want. Open your hands. Receive. Let the inner work be completed in peace. Let the outer world take its cue from the settled truth you keep returning to. There is no need to keep proving your seriousness through exhaustion. There is no need to turn every delay into a verdict. There is no need to keep checking whether life forgot you. It did not. The deeper intelligence that keeps you alive has not lost your address. What is meant for you does not need panic to find you. It needs your willingness to stop resisting it with constant doubt. So tonight, or this morning, or wherever you are hearing these words, let one sentence become the atmosphere around you. It is done. Say it softly if you want. Feel it more than you repeat it. Let it settle in the breath. Let it settle in the chest. Let it settle in the way you move through ordinary minutes, because this is where change becomes real, not in dramatic performance, but in quiet acceptance. Stay with that. Let it become familiar. Let it become normal. Let it become your inner climate. And when the mind asks for proof, smile a little and return again. It is done. When the world seems slow, return again. It is done. When fear says push harder, return again. It is done. That is the new look. That is the new rhythm. Not force, not struggle, not endless chasing. Just calm certainty, open hands, and the courage to rest in what has already been claimed within.